I don't want someone putting something into my spine. Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Megan Olivier. I'm a writer, but I am also pregnant, very pregnant. And my baby is due mid-end of March / early April. At some point, I'm going to be having a baby. And so I wanted to do a kind of pregnancy FAQs because I've been getting quite a lot of questions on social media, and I found this pregnancy tag, this random pregnancy tag on YouTube, which does contain basically all of the questions that I've been asked. It's just all the typical kind of questions that nosy people want to ask when they find out someone is pregnant. I'm super nosy, I can relate, don't worry, it's fine. I don't really mind answering these questions. I'm quite an open person. Wow, my chest is sore from the friggin' gym. that is not a nice motion when you got a sore chest. Whew. Question 1 is, how and when did you find out you were pregnant? So my pregnancy announcement video is a pretty long video, and it explains like how I found out and how I felt when I found out and how I told Lewis and all that stuff. So I'll leave that linked on screen. But basically I found out pretty early on. I found out at 4 weeks because I just felt like kind of my normal before period symptoms, like pretty much exactly like the same amount of pain and the same everything, but there was no period. But that wasn't really a concern because it hadn't really been that long. It was only supposed to have like started like the day before basically, and sometimes it is a tiny couple of days out, so that's fine. But then I just in general just felt really off in my body. I was kind of panicking, thinking that I had some sort of strange hormonal imbalance, and I just felt wrong. And also my boobs got really itchy every time I got warm, which I thought was strange. But you just kind of think you're being crazy because sometimes before your period you just randomly start thinking you're pregnant for no reason. I think most girls probably do that. Number 2, how did you feel? I think I started crying, or was like almost crying. I don't know, it was just like a really overwhelmed and also happy kind of feeling, but like I just didn't believe it. It was like it was too good to be true. I couldn't believe it. I had to keep reading the pregnancy test instructions over and over again, and reading, you know, what symbol was supposed to come up, even though it was a fucking plus. It was really obvious. It was really dark and strong. I shouldn't have needed to read it that many times, but I just couldn't really comprehend it. Number 3, how old were you? I don't know why we got this weird past tense. I guess I could have had a birthday since then, but I haven't, so I am 22. Number 4, how did you tell your partner? I just friggin' ran from the bathroom. I'd like locked myself in the bathroom to do this secret test, and I just ran from the bathroom to the living room where he was just doing some work on his computer, and I just told him. I think it's like really blurry, I can't really remember, but I think from remembering his face, I think he looked a bit like he might have cried. It was just like overwhelmed, but like a good overwhelm, because it was something that we've been talking about and that we've been wanting a lot, but you just don't believe that it's ever going to actually happen, particularly not like the first time that you ever actually make it possible to happen. Number 5, did you wait 3 months to tell people, and then why/why not? I told my mom on the day. I told my mom immediately, and then I kind of announced it online at like 16 weeks, and then everyone else kind of like fell in between that, like friends and family. I just kind of really slowly told everyone. I was very busy with work at the time, so, and also feeling exhausted and first trimestery, so it just took me ages to get around to telling everyone. Basically, obviously the main reason for not rushing out and telling everybody immediately is the chances of miscarriage are a lot higher in the beginning. Because I'm young, the statistics are like less likely, but obviously it does still happen, and it's scary. And as I said, it's just really hard to believe that you could actually be pregnant, that it could actually be happening, and you just feel kind of like it might be taken away from you at any moment. But I did kind of want some people to know, like, you know, if something had gone wrong, I would have definitely have wanted to be able to speak to my mom about it. So I didn't want to keep it entirely secret. It wasn't like I thought I was going to jinx it or something by telling people. In fact, I felt like kind of by telling people I was making it more likely to continue, because it was just, you know, being positive and taking the pregnancy seriously right from the beginning, even though obviously that's just blah, and if something was wrong, it was going to be wrong regardless of what I did and who I told. Number 6, is this your first? Yes, indeed, this is our first child, potentially our only child. Number 7, do you want more? We've always kind of thought that we might have only one child. I really enjoyed being an only child. I liked having my own space a lot. I feel like I can't really answer that question though until I've experienced what having a baby and what having a child is like. Obviously my life is going to look very different a year from now, so I feel like then I'll be in a much better position to answer that question. I know some people say they want to have 4 children and then they have 1 baby and they're like, okay, hell no. So maybe I'll do the opposite to that. I'll say I want 1 and then I'll have 1 and I'll be like, oh, maybe we could do it again. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if I could handle being pregnant again. Like, I felt sick for the first 22 weeks. And I don't think I realised how bad I felt until I started feeling like a normal-ish person again, with obviously other symptoms always come along and replace your previous glorious symptoms. There's always something. I don't know if I could cope with it. I don't know. But that doesn't mean we can't ever have any more children. Obviously, adoption is an option, and there are people in my family who have adopted, and it is something that I would definitely consider doing, and I've always kind of thought about doing. We just have to see how we feel in a few years' time. I think the other issue is obviously money. I would like all of our children to have their own bedrooms because I really liked having my own room, and I think everyone should have their own space if possible. But how fucking expensive is that going to be? Like, house prices are ridiculous. We work from home, so I'd want to probably have a home office, or at least have some sort of space at home where I could work. So then if you have 2 children, you're going to need potentially a 4-bedroom house. Like, how old am I going to be before I'm able to afford a 4-bedroom house in a decent area? Potentially, like, retired, like 50. So I don't really know if it's going to be possible. I don't know, we'll have to see how rich we are. I wouldn't say never. I'm not completely closed off to having more, but I do like the idea of having 1 child who I just give everything that I can to, and I know that I've given them absolutely everything, whereas when you've got 2, you've got to split it in 2, when you've got 3, you've got to split it in 3. I mean, if you're super rich, it doesn't matter, does it? I say I enjoyed being an only child. I did, and I don't think I'd change that. However, I did have a half-sister, well, I still do have a half-sister, called Charlotte, who's 10 years younger than me, and we had a really great relationship, but I only saw her every second weekend, so it was kind of like nice, almost like seeing a cousin, but a cousin that you have an extra special bond with because they're your sister. But she wasn't like in my face all the time, so we didn't argue, and I think that was really nice. And obviously the age difference of 10 years was very nice, and I got to look after her when she was really small. So yeah, and she's gonna have a similar relationship with my child, which is really nice because when my child is born, she is going to be 13, so it's not actually all that different. Number 8, your biggest craving. I haven't really had cravings. As I said, I just felt sick for the first 22 weeks, and a lot of things just seemed really fucking gross. I think I would go through very small phases. Like, I really liked the vegan corn spicy burgers. Like, this one day I'd had one and it was like, oh my god, that's the best thing ever, and I wanted to go and put like on another one immediately, but then that was gone after a couple of days. I mainly just had like big aversions to things like peppermint, terrible, and I usually really like kind of like mint chocolate and stuff like that, and I just didn't really like that. I think overall I definitely preferred salty things to sweet, which I think is something that they say when you're having a boy, probably bullshit, but it was true for me. But I kind of do prefer salty to sweet anyway in general, so it was like that extreme. Number 9, what's the best part about being pregnant? The fact that I'm gonna have a baby at the end of it. I think that's pretty much the only good thing I have to say about pregnancy, really. Number 10, what's the worst thing about being pregnant? Well, I do have a video all about all of my kind of like weird TMI symptoms, so I'll leave that linked on screen. Basically, anything I mentioned in that video is a worst thing. There's lots of worst things, basically. But I think the sickness in the beginning was pretty damn bad. Again, like, I don't think I realised how bad it was, and now looking back on reflection, I'm like, how did you survive? How did you get through that? Because just, I couldn't go 5 minutes between meals. I couldn't be hungry at all, otherwise I would start gagging. It was stupid. We went on a few holidays during the first trimester, which lasted for the first 22 weeks. And when I think back to those holidays, I just remember the sick feeling. Or if I think back to a restaurant that we ate at while I was feeling like that, I just remember the sick feeling. And it's really sad. Like, I'm hoping at some point I might remember the nice actual holiday memories and not how I ate that falafel wrap that had cabbage in it in Germany and then felt absolutely disgusting for hours later. Number 11, will you find out the gender and what do you prefer? Well, I already have. We found out at the 20-week scan that we are having a little boy, which you probably already know. I obviously prefer that because that's what we're having. I wouldn't change it now. That's the image that I have of my child. But yeah, I did have a really, really lovely dream back in the day about having a baby boy, so it did feel kind of right. And I was pretty sure from the beginning of the pregnancy that we were going to be having a boy. Number 12, do you have names picked out and what are the stories behind them? Well, I've done a few baby name tag videos. I might not have posted them yet, but I will be posting them soon. So make sure you subscribe if you want to kind of see more of the names that I like, because I may use those names for future children or I may use them for book characters. You never know, and then you could be like, oh yeah, I saw that on a video. But we have picked out a name that we're pretty sure we're going to use, but it's a big fat secret and we're not telling anybody because we might change our mind. So I don't really want anyone to get attached to it. I don't want anyone to shit all over it either if they don't like it. So nah, we're going to tell people once the baby exists, this is the baby, this is their name, end of. Take it or leave it, there we are. There isn't really a story behind it other than we both liked it. We kind of struggled with boys' names at first. Now I've got quite a long list of names that I like after doing some more research. I just wanted something that wasn't really, really unusual so no one would be able to say or spell it, but I also didn't want it to be in the top 10 names. Number 13, what is your birth plan? I don't think I've spoken about this much actually, but I am planning at the moment to do a home birth because we're only an 8-minute drive from the hospital. I know that with first birth there is more of a chance that you could end up in hospital, and you can choose to go to hospital if you want to on the day, like maybe I'll change my mind and then we can just go, it doesn't matter, you don't have to actually 100% make the decision. I want to try and make it as natural as possible, and I am doing hypnobirthing. I've got a course from the Positive Birth Company that's really, really great, the online course. I think that's pretty much all you need to get yourself through it. I've bought other books and stuff, but I've been most impressed with the online course. I don't really like all of the readings and the relaxation kind of things. I just like the breathing. I think they're focusing on the breathing. I've been practicing the breathing a lot. It's been useful in other situations where I've had other kind of pains. I've tried it out and it's worked and it's helped, or if I needed to calm down because I've been stressed, it has helped. I know that giving birth is going to be a bit of a different situation, but I just really don't like how quickly hospitals are to intervene and offer, forceps and C-sections and do epidurals and things like that. I just think I've heard so many stories of like unnecessary intervention that was just done to kind of speed things along. I mean, I'm not like someone who's like super into everything having to be extremely natural. I'm not like anti-medicine, but I've read a lot into the kind of side effects of the epidurals and things like that, and I just don't really want that. I don't want someone putting something into my spine. Thank you very much. So I'm hoping that I won't have to be in hospital because I love being at home as well. I work from home. It's cozy, it's nice. I would like to just, have my baby and then we can just go and all cuddle up in bed or cuddle up on the sofa and not have to stay a night in hospital by myself. But I will if I have to, I guess. I have no choice. Number 14, will you breastfeed? I am planning to. I have a book on positive breastfeeding which I've not read yet, but I will be reading. And my mum breastfed, she managed to do it. I think it was difficult at first because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and that's how it seems to be with most babies. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. But yeah, I've watched a lot of other people's videos and I know that it's hard for a lot of people. But anytime a product that was helpful has been mentioned, I've bought it. So I've like stocked up on loads of things that will hopefully be really helpful and make it more possible because I am quite determined to do it. I think it obviously makes a lot of sense for the baby if you do research into it. It is absolutely the best thing. There's also no vegan formula, so we would have to buy a formula that's almost vegan, that's a soy-based formula but does contain vitamin D3 that comes from sheep's wool. I wouldn't be overly upset about that because it's a really small little byproduct. I'd obviously rather stick to the more vegan option if possible, so that's what I'm going to try to do first. But it's really great for you as well. It'd be really great for me because it's like kind of like your body rounding off the process and your uterus starts to contract and move back into place, which I think can be quite painful, But again, I've got supplies. Also, it burns a freaking hell of a lot of calories per day. It burns like 300 to 500 calories per day. And I'm not eating any more than I usually would during this pregnancy. I think soon I'm supposed to up my calories, but right now I'm just eating my normal amount of calories. And I have been, you know, I don't know if it's just water retention, but it does seem like I'm storing a bit more fat for the winter. So I assume that's probably just my body potentially preparing for feeding. So I'm gonna feed. Because if there was some sort of diet pill that just burnt 500 calories, I think a lot of people would be getting on that. 15, do you plan to work or be a stay-at-home mum? I gotta make the money. I gotta be, you know, the main breadwinner. No, I run a videography business with my husband Lewis, so I will be continuing to run my business. For the first 6 months I'm going to outsource as much as possible, but I will be required to go and do a little bit of filming here and there, so hopefully I'll be able to get my breast pump working. And grandparents will be up for babysitting during those times. But after my baby is 6 months old, we are going to have a childminder for a few days a week, 3 days a week, and then 1 day a week they're going to go to my parents. So, well, he is going to go to my parents, I should say. So I will then get time to work on my business and also to write my books and focus on what I'm doing. Lewis is running the business, and then he's also studying a nutrition degree for, it's going to be about 10 hours next year, 10 hours a week. But in the beginning, luckily, after his exams, he has exams kind of quite close to the birth, and then after those exams, he is off for a few months completely. So it's going to be the two of us in it together, which I think is really, really lovely. And before Lewis is off, I think my mum's going to come around quite a lot and help me out, which will be nice because we'll get to spend some time together. Number 16 is a bit of a weird one. Will you make your own baby food? So Lewis makes all of our food. He's studying a nutrition degree, as I said, and because we're vegan, there's probably less pre-packaged options. I don't know, there probably are lots of them out there. We make most of our own food from scratch, or Lewis makes most of our own food from scratch, so I'm sure we will make baby food. I think he's quite excited about that, getting to feed the baby actual food. But obviously, I guess that would be a cheaper option, and you also can control what you're putting in the food. Number 17, do you have any nursery ideas or themes? I know that I definitely want elephants involved somewhere, because I like elephants, they are everything. So I'm thinking maybe like a safari kind of wildlife, like slightly African themed, because we are planning to take our baby to South Africa when they are 6 months old. It's their first little adventure. And I also want to get a map of the world to put on the wall, like, you know, a kind of cool one that looks like maybe like an old map or something, or trendy looking map of the world, not like a primary colour one, you know. And then I'm just hoping that we get our baby all excited for our travels, because I do want to go on as many trips as we can afford to do when I am trying to put money aside each month, so that we can do that and go and see the world and explore. They might not remember half of it, but I'll have a good time. Every time I go on holiday, I always see the activities that you can do if you had a child, and I'm like, damn it. So yeah, as I said at the beginning of the video, I am a writer, and I have a short story available for free on my website, meganolivier.com, which will always be the first link in the description. It's called Lilac Paint, and it's kind of about babies, but not really, because it's actually pretty sad. So if you are pregnant, I would read with caution, proceed with caution. But if you're not, or if you're strong and you're not in a place where you don't want to be reading sad things, then definitely check it out. So you just go to my homepage, scroll to the bottom, put in your first name, put in your email address, click download, and you'll be sent a download link, and you'll be able to read Lilac Paint and listen to the audio version as well. All of those things are still here at 18 weeks, even though they're all supposed to be first trimester crap, so that's good. I still have not left the first trimester. I think if you told me that then when it first started, I would have cried. Might have been a bit less happiness, yeah. I would have been so sad, because you feel like it's okay to be like feeling sick and stuff if you know it's